Trump, the orange bastard. I wish gravity would stop working for him and he would just fly off into space somewhere. But he is now targeting Mark Meadows. Yeah, his ex-chief of staff. On Wednesday, the orange bastard went on his toy social media platform and said that Mark Meadows would be a weakling and a coward if Mark testifies against him. Wow. I mean, every once in a while I get an email from somebody that says, Malloy, you do so much name calling. Well, yeah, of course I do, because it's very appropriate to me to call him the orange bastard or one of these Christian nutcases, a Christian fascist. You bet. It fits right into the emotional roller coaster that I've been on now for 8 years. And I usually don't respond to those emails, but I want to suggest to people, what about your boy? What about your Jesus figure? A weakling and a coward. Now, in his little shitty social media post, Trump said he really doesn't believe that Mark would turn on him. But the orange bastard noted that Meadows has been threatened with prosecution and might be tempted by an immunity agreement. Now, he wrote this yesterday, and shortly after, of course, Meadows got the immunity agreement. Now, we don't know the extent to which that agreement extends. Yeah, we don't know the degree to which it extends to cover Mark Meadows' crimes or his covering up of crimes or his obstruction of justice. But when you make an immunity deal, it's my understanding, you no longer can use the Fifth Amendment to say, well, I'm not going to answer that on the grounds it might intimidate me, because the immunity agreement, now it can be limited immunity. Like I said, we don't know about this one, but the immunity agreement protects the person who then testifies, because that person has information that will help in the prosecution of whomever or dozens of whomevers that the Justice Department or state prosecutor or an attorney general is going after. So we shall see. The orange bastard also said in his little toy social media post, quote, some people would make that deal, but they are weaklings and cowards and so bad for the future, our failing nation. I don't think Mark Meadows is one of them, but who really knows? And, oh, my God. Oh, so, keeping to form, because this rotten son of a bitch Trump only has one way of handling situations like this. But the day after news report that Meadows was considering working with Jack Smith's office for an immunity deal, that's when Trump lost his shit. Now, ABC News, and you can believe this or not believe it, I've heard reports that validate what ABC said and reports that are challenging what ABC said. But ABC News said that Meadows told the prosecutor, Mark Smith, and his staff that, quote, Meadows, repeatedly told Trump in the weeks after the 2020 presidential election that the allegations of significant voting fraud coming to them were baseless. A striking break from Trump's prolific rhetoric regarding the election, end quote. Well, and of course, in his toy media Truth Social media posts, Trump vehemently denied Meadows' reported assertions that came from ABC News. And the orange bastard pointed out that Meadows defended Trump's election complaints in his book. Trump claimed this, quote, Mark Meadows never told me that allegations of significant fraud were baseless. He certainly didn't say that in his book, end quote. Oh, will someone please relieve me of this irritating son of a bitch? Please. Please. Now, to go from that ridiculous bullshit to the absolutely obscene where it concerns Trump. The latest that I have, he was in Concord, New Hampshire a couple days ago. And he was there to register for the presidential primary. And while he was there, he compared himself he compared himself to Nelson Mandela. Yes. What's next, you orange son of a bitch? You're going to compare yourself to Jesus? Your followers are already doing that. Nelson Mandela and Donald Trump, gentle listener, are, according to the orange bastard, cut from the same cloth. The orange bastard, as he always does, he casts himself as the victim of federal and state prosecutors who are targeting him and his businesses for political reasons. No, you crazy son of a bitch. They are targeting you because you're a goddamn criminal. And because you tried to overthrow the government of the United States. And because you'll try again and again, you sick prick, until you succeed. That's why you're being targeted, so to speak. So, Trump was back in New Hampshire, like I said, to register for the presidential primary, and he held a rally where he screamed and pissed and moaned about Joe Biden's response to the Hamas attack on Israel. And he says he's going to build an Iron Dome-style missile defense over the U.S. Who's going to pay for it, you lying prick? Mexico? Just like your wall? He's going to build an Iron Dome shield over the United States. Reminds me of the Reagan years when they came up with Star Wars. Remember that bullshit? Anyway, while he was running his mouth, the orange bastard focused much of his, and according to the Associated Press, at times his speech was profane, but he focused most of it on the criminal and civil cases against him. And then at one point he suggested he'll go to prison like former South African President Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison because Mandela opposed the apartheid system in South Africa. And Mandela was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. You know, the only prize this Trump son of a bitch is ever going to receive is, you know, one of those little gym cracks at the bottom of a Cracker Jack box. You know, maybe he'll get a magic plastic ring and then maybe choke on it, huh? He was speaking before what the Associated Press calls an amped up crowd of supporters. Amped up. Well, you old fuckers up there were on speed or something? That must be it. Anyways, at a sports complex in Derry, New Hampshire, and he said this, quote, "I don't mind being Nelson Mandela because I'm doing it for a reason. We've got to save our country from these fascists, these lunatics that we're dealing with. They're horrible people, and they're destroying our country." End quote. Well, one thing you can count on from this miserable lump of human waste, and that is his little story, his little crybaby bullshit never changes. There's not a single policy argument that he's made. Oh, wait, the Iron Dome that Mexico is going to build, right? Nothing. There is no reason to elect him president from a policy standpoint or a project or a governance standpoint. But his followers don't care. I heard something on, I guess it was Morning Joe this morning. These Trump sucker fool assholes who insist they're going to vote for him again and again and again do not understand how government works. They have no idea how Trump would absolutely fuck over them if he were president again, because they don't understand how government works. They don't understand the process in the U.S. House of Representatives. They don't understand what the Senate's about. They have no fucking idea of anything about the Constitution except maybe a part of the misstated Second Amendment. And this is perfectly in keeping with the Christian fascists. They don't want governance. They want chaos. The Christian fascists want it because if it's bloody enough and violent enough and destructive enough, these crazy son of a bitches are convinced that their version of Jesus Christ is going to return in a blaze of glory, because he will be so happy to see the slaughter going on here. There's not a Christian fundamentalist asshole, right wing, whatever you want to call him, in this country right now who is not just gleeful, almost orgasmic about the destruction and the death and the slaughter that's going on in the Middle East. Because to these sick bastards, that's where it all has to occur. Ta-da! Israel has to destroy everything and then claim Eretz Israel, although the Christian fascists would not know what the hell I meant by that, but that would mean biblical Judea. They want to see Israel the way it was when the Bible talked about it. And at that point, according to these Christian nutfucks, that's when their Messiah will come back, guns blazing, killing this one and shooting that one and mopping up the blood with the corpses of the unbelievers. Oh my God. Well, anyway, comments from the Orange Bastard in Derry, New Hampshire came after he formally filed for that state's primary. And he now becomes the first person who has served as president to do so in person more than once. Oh, another first. The first I want to see is this bastard in an orange jumpsuit. Anyway, he wrote on the commemorative poster at the State House in Concord, New Hampshire, that all the candidates are asked to sign. He wrote this, according to AP, quote, "Vote for Trump and solve your problems." Oh my God, vote for Trump and solve your problems. Will this shit never stop? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.